why horror? People will say, why did you start writing? But they'll never specifically ask you why you decided to do horror versus something else.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah.
So, horror is a more personal genre for a lot of people than it is. Anybody can write about a monster, sure. But when you're writing a book about a monster, the book is not about the monster, it's about the characters.
Right.
Like, primarily, because the monster is a character.
Yeah.
The benefit we have is that if you look in the history of written language, horror is actually the oldest genre in creation.
Oh yeah.
In both the written and verbal formats. Verbal, there are, if you count cave paintings as written format, which you kind of need to because of the symbols and stuff, I mean, some of the oldest writing and hieroglyphs on walls are curses, or stories about some tragic, terrible event. Or if it's, back to prehistoric times, there's this enormous, to them, a saber-toothed tiger was like, oh my god, this is a giant beast that's eating half our village. So that's a very, it was horror stories they passed down, but the point of horror initially was education.
Yep.
Because
Well,
if I tell you,
fairy tales.
yeah.
Hansel and Gretel is horror, and that's fairy tale. There's a lesson behind that.
And I think fantasy unjustly claims a lot of fairy tales as being fantasy and not horror.
Yeah. I think you are right. Exactly right.
Right. When in reality, they should both share it as fantasy horror.
Yeah.
The Brothers Grimm. Those were all very terrifying fairy tales in their original formats.
Yep.
Like, there's not a single Grimm fairy tale that was not absolutely just heartbreaking and just murderous and crazy. And it's a lot of their stories that got translated over the years through, I hate to say it, I'm a Disney fan, but Disney whitewashed a lot of original fairy tales that did not end or were not like how they were in their original format.
It ruins everything.
So people need to be retrained about that, about, what to expect from horror.
Yeah, that's true. They do. I completely agree with that. A lot of people, think it's exactly right. It's exactly right. People think it's a lot of blood and gore. Honestly, I don't have any blood and gore at all in the entire series. It's nothing to do with that.
Right.
It's nothing to do with murder or attempted murder or some serial killer. It's nothing to do.
Right. I mean, for example, Stephen King wrote a book that's horror. I'm not sure if you've read it. It's called Rose Matter.
Nope, I haven't read it.
It's literally about a woman running away from her husband that nearly killed her from abuse. So it's a very personal story about abuse, where there's this crazy guy chasing his, soon-to-be technically ex-wife around, trying to hunt her down and kill her. And yes, there's that aspect of that, but it's really just a character-driven piece about a woman that was abused, and it's amazing.
Gerald's Game.
Oh yeah, Gerald's Game also was another really great one from him that wasn't blood and gore based. There's a lot of Clive Barker stuff that borderlines horror and fantasy that there's no blood in them, but they are fantastic stories. A lot of H.P. Lovecraft and Poe stuff were fantastic, and they were more about the romanticism of horror than they were about blood and gore and psychological.
Think about it, but I don't know about everybody else. The most horror that I actually read is around Halloween time. I will look up true story, ghost stories, like all. That's what I read, and I think the last horror book I read was yours, actually, the Candlelight one.
Okay. Oh yeah, man, that was good. One of those was actually a true story.
Really? Which one was it?
The one about the kids and their mother that lived in the haunted house.
Yeah, that
was my life growing up. Yeah. The only thing, everything was true in that, except for the part in the beginning where I talk about how my psychiatrist feels like I should write it down. That was just my artistic way to enter it. And then when my dad passed away, we had a minor conversation, literally 3 weeks before he died, about the house, with him finally admitting that he had seen stuff there too. But the part where he leans over and whispers, you're not alone, in the house, that didn't happen.
Oh my God!
But the actual content of what we lived through, and we lived there through almost 10 full years of my life, everybody living in fear of that house. No one wanted to come and play over there. No one wanted to stay the night, really. I mean, And usually they would once and then not want to come back. And everybody whispered. To this day, still whispers about that house. And it's vacant. Like every year or so, the people just leave overnight, and then it'll be on the market for like a couple of years. And somebody moves back in for a year or two, and it's vacant again.
Huh, I almost wondered that was happening across the street because we've lived at this house for like 5 years, and every year the house across the street from us has had a new owner. Every single year.
A lot of times that's why.
I wonder if that's why, yeah.
Oh yeah.
You have a lot of experience with the paranormal side of things, but mine is more like especially the theory that's more of the demonic side of things.
Okay.
I don't know if you've ever run into anything like that before.
I have a number of times, more often than not. Less often than you would generally think. A lot of people in hauntings, when they see certain things, you'll see a lot of people mention demons or the devil and things like that. And I find maybe about an eighth of the time that actually turns out to be true. Because it does happen from time to time where it's clearly not just someone that's passed over, it's something else entirely.
Oh. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah. Nani had kind of said the same thing.
Is it okay to ask you what you went through, or is that too personal?
What?
The experience
that I went through?
Yeah.
I don't fully know even how to explain it because I don't fully understand exactly what happened. I can try. This basically with the whole series is there's 3 parts, but they're short. They're like 25-minute reads.
Okay.
Okay, so what happened was I would have night terrors, and I'd have sleep paralysis and hallucinations with them.
Okay.
And that's technically what I thought they were at the beginning, but I always see the first time it happened, I saw a little boy, and he took me through, like when he talked, his mouth would not move. It was like an echo in my head, and I could see myself sleeping. He was standing next to me. I was at the end of my bed, and I could see myself sleeping, and I could see my husband sleeping next to me. And then he took me through like this crazy flashing of everybody he helped commit suicide, and it was all like very graphic. I could smell him. I could it felt so incredibly real, and I could see at the same time. I could see it was just crazy. Like I could see like there was 2 of me. Like I was in the bed, and then I was also at the end of the bed. So it was just insane. And it's painful, like it's extremely painful, and
that sounds like a form of possession to me.
Yep, I can't even explain the pain that I can't. So he would visit often. It was very frequent. He would stand at the end of my bed and watch me as like I sit there awake, unable to move, unable to scream, until he disappeared, and then I could move again. And then he started inviting his friends, and there was one that standing next to my closet, and just would sit there and watch me. There was another one that would sit on my chest and get right in my face. They started affecting my children. Got to the point where my oldest looked like he was possessed. He would come downstairs, do weird jerky movements, completely unresponsive, and he'd go right back to his bedroom. He would tell me that he was afraid of my bedroom because he was scared of my closet, because he would dream that something was in there trying to grab him, and one of the demons always stood right in front of my closet. I have a big walk-in closet.
And the one that you dealt with was younger?
What's that?
The one that you dealt with primarily in like your initial experiences was younger?
Yeah, younger. He was adorable. He was adorable. He had no shoes. But he had like this black soot on it. He smelled like sulfur, like a freshly lit match. It was so strong. He had black around all of his eyes. His eyes itself were black, like the orbs were, everything was just black. And then like a purple bruising around his eyes. But he was gorgeous, like pale white skin.
He had lighter color hair?
What's that?
Lighter colored hair?
Nope, it was black. He had black hair.
Okay.
Yeah. And then, the same shirt every time, it was purple stripe, purple and white stripe. It just, every single time, and he would taunt me and tease me, and sometimes he wouldn't say anything because I was standing there and smiling. He would talk to me all the time. It was just...
Now, did you get up and move around any during these times?
No, I was paralyzed. I wasn't allowed to move.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
There was a few times where I woke up and nothing was there, but what had woken me was this like huge sense of doom, like I was gonna die at any second, like this huge, overpowering, overwhelming sense of doom.
Right.
But no, I just pretty much that's what I dealt with for quite some time, and then so I met Nania, which she's going to be the other guest star, and she, I don't know how she does it, and part of me still doesn't believe it's real. But she
I'm super interested in talking to her.
Yeah, somehow she scanned my home. She scanned it, and she told me about these three, the exact same three that I saw.
Whoa.
She told me about them, and I had not
There's
told her
three
anything
specifically?
about them. Yep, and I had not told her anything about them. And she told me about it. She told me there was one living in my closet. She told me that I had two on me. She told me one was messing with my son. She told everything that was happening to me. She told me, and I had not told her anything.
You know they leave the house. They actually leave your property.
Yeah.
In your car, the one that you drive.
Yeah. What's that?
The car that you specifically drive.
What about my car?
That's how they leave your property.
The car?
The car.
How did you know that?
Because once they're in the home, to the degree that they are, it's probably because they can't leave the home unless they're specifically connected to something involving you.
Oh.
Yeah.
That would make sense. Yeah, no, that would make sense. Yeah,
It's really interesting, man.
yeah, it was insane. And you know what's really weird? It eventually, because I don't know what's happening, and I did not include this in the book because it was happening so often, and I went through years of this. I mean, even before my son was actually born. The only thing that's not true in the story is the timeline. The timeline is off, and I did that on purpose because I needed it. I tried to tell you the craziest part. So, the first time I met the little boy, the night before, I had a dream. It was a very realistic dream that my grandpa was diagnosed with cancer. And so the next night, he asked me if I enjoyed that dream. And he said that he sent me that dream. And then, technically, it was a few weeks later, my grandpa had told us that he had cancer.
Wow.
It was just insane. It was just insane. Like I said, I don't even know if I believe what actually happened or if I still don't even know. Like, it's just because it's so out there, it's so far out there.
Right.
That you just can't even, can it? You know, like, it's,
Right.
I don't know.
It does, and it will happen to many more people. You have to understand the amount of people that die on this planet every day.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there has to be something that's to it because, I mean, I have a nightmare every single night. And since October of last year, since that day, I have never had a nightmare. Not even a nightmare.
That's good.
Yeah, it's just insane. Ever since that happened, and now that I don't have it happen anymore, you can feel it a lot more. You can feel the dark. You can feel the eyes. You can feel someone watching you. You can feel
Oh,
it.
yeah. It's not so oppressive anymore for you, so when it does happen, you notice it even more.
Yeah, you do. And so, I get that feeling. I get that way too much. It's too much for my comfort. But the weird thing is, I tell you what, the weird thing is that for a couple of months there, after it happened, I went through like this withdrawal. Like, I missed them because they gave me such an edge to my writing. They gave me such an edge to, but the only bad thing is that I would have seen out of place mood swings.
Yeah.
And I don't have that anymore, but it would give me I could cross over this line from dark to light when writing, and I can't do that anymore. So that's the only thing I miss, is I don't have that. I don't know, maybe I do, I'm just afraid to actually go over that line. But
that's what I think, because once you have that capability, that's not something that you lose. It's something that your mind blocks, like, as a safety mechanism.
I'm wondering
usually for sanity purposes. But
because of
your subconsciously is
everything that
where
happened. I wonder
that
if
occurred. Like, there's just that subconscious part of you that said she needs a break. Click that switch.
Yeah.
And you just have to find a way to safely turn that switch back on.
Yeah, probably so. I mean, just the stuff that happened when she got rid of them all. I think that was enough for
And now you probably feel things in places you never really noticed before, like the supermarket or a department store or a school, or because it was so oppressive, you didn't notice those things because that was a common part of life to you. But now that it's not, you're more likely to actually recognize the fact that there are many places around you that have that same kind of feeling.
There was one place. It was a couple days after I house clean during the day. I clean people's houses, so you can imagine how often I feel this. It can get a lot, and these are all very old houses, right. So it can get a little intense sometimes. But I remember the day after, and it got to the point of hyperventilating, and I had to leave early because something was on the stairs, and it was watching me, and I could feel it. And every time I tried to turn around, it was never there, but I could feel it just on the stairs, and it was sitting there just watching me. And I had to leave early because I couldn't. It was drowning. It was such a drowning feeling. I couldn't deal with it anymore. It was insane. Like the stuff that you. I don't know. I guess I don't know if I ignored it or I couldn't feel it or I just had so much already going on that I didn't even notice it there. But every time I, go to some kind of place, sometimes I just feel. Sorry, my adrenaline's pumping, so I'm like super shaky.
Oh, you're good.
And
that is honestly the number one way that you can tell the difference between someone lying to you about an experience and a real experience they've had. If the adrenaline is not pumping and the emotion is not there, that's how generally you can tell a situation is fake.
Yeah, like my fingers are going crazy right now.
Yep. Anytime I talk about my personal experiences, I get the same way. Like, I feel it in like the base of my spine first, and it just rises up, and suddenly I'm breathing
it's like
faster.
A shiver. It's a shiver right at your tailbone, and it goes right up like it's quaking your whole spine.
Yep. And it always ends like right at the base of my skull, and then just throbs there for a little bit. Like, not like painfully, just like that sensation for me. I do have one more question about the three.
Yep.
Were they all children?
No. Just the one. One was a gargoyle. He was green, dark green, horns, protruding cheeks, and the only thing I could ever see was his face. He was heavy, but the only thing I could ever see was his face because that was right in front of my face.
Right.
And the other one was. He was extremely tall. He was taller than my door. And the only thing, he wore like a cloak. That's all I ever saw. I could never see a face. I could never see a hand. I could hear him breathe, but that's it. The tall one, he was the most benign. He was just, well, to me, apparently he was the one that was messing with my kid.
Okay.
That's I guess she never actually specified that, so I don't know if that's the actual one or not. But I assumed because he was obsessed with my closet. So, like that closet door was staying open all the time. I always blamed it on the dogs or something, but I mean, just there was so much going on with that closet anyway. So
Oh yeah.
I don't know, but
Interesting.
yeah,
Okay.
the other one never talked to me. The one that got in my face, he just never talked to me. But the kid would. The kid would talk to me, and I would talk back. If I was pulled out of bodies, then I would be able to talk back. But if I was paralyzed, then I would just get to stare and listen.
Now, after the events, was there like any tingling of your skin, like any feel, like just like I'm trying to figure out how to explain it.
My muscles felt like they were drained of all
Okay.
water.
Okay.
It was extremely painful, like Charlie's horse, but all over.